Hello, mech fans. This is Duncan Fisher. Hold on firmly to your mana potions, fireballs, and familiars, because you are tuning in to your regularly scheduled episode of the First Circuit Podcast.
All right. Hello and welcome everyone to the First Circuit Podcast, episode number 147. Today we'll be covering the big launch for MechWarrior 5, going on multiple platforms with its new DLC and all that good jazz. On top of that, we'll be covering all the news going on with MWO, with its new patch, new player packs, and all the events and sales that have been happening. We have our usual three main hosts, me, Vita. We also have Ian.
Hey, you're gonna be staring at my face for this whole podcast. Have fun.
Yeah, and we don't see Bob's face.
Yeah, I don't see Bob's face. Everything's packed up. So yeah. Hey.
All right. Do you guys going to get started with MechWarrior 5?
Sure, let's dive
go ahead.
right into it, MechWarrior 5. So, May 27th was the big date for MechWarrior 5 to be released on Steam, GOG, whatever other platform besides Epic, and of course the simultaneous release on Xbox and the release of the Heroes of the Inner Sphere DLC. And, well, first off, how did you guys feel in the days leading up to the launch? I know usually big launches we're really excited. For MechWarrior 5 personally, I was not excited at all. I kind of dreaded playing the game again. How did you feel about that?
I felt they should have done more. Sorry, I'm tired. So, they should have done more advertising instead of just on Twitter. That's the only place I really saw it at. I don't know if they actually did anything on Xbox forums. I don't know if they did anything on like any other type of stuff, but it just felt like they popped out a couple box reviews, like you could print these boxes and have them on your shelf type thing, and that's about it. No real like behind the scenes, no real stuff that a lot of other game companies do, which I think we talk about that, like before, is they show like, this is the Atlas and here's what's cool about it, and a really cool intro video or something like that, or just something to get people pumped up like at least a month beforehand. See, it seemed like the last week they sprinted and popped out a bunch of different box sets, and that's about it. That's all I saw really was that I was excited but not excited. I knew what was coming in there. I had the beta test in it. I played a little bit for that, and it was good. But anyways, I'll get to my review like later on. And how'd you feel?
So let me just give my
Okay.
feelings. Obviously, I don't actually own the game. I got it played it on free on the Xbox Game Pass, but at least I saw it somewhat advertised on the MWO website. Though what I'd say is the biggest impression I get is obviously they have a new marketing team that the visuals and presentation of the
Yeah.
game is up a notch.
Yeah.
At least as a player who's already a fan of the franchise, it's like, what's the big, huge appeal of MechWarrior 5? How is their marketing being done? And they have some very good videos showing off some explodey gameplay, but I've seen that gameplay already. I've seen the game already. At least for the most persistent fans, the biggest thing is somewhat just the DLC. Does the DLC have new sights and sounds that really entice me to come back or to want to purchase the game on Steam or anything like that? And I don't really feel like the advertising did very much to advertise the new DLC, which
Yeah.
they're of course,
Yeah.
asking for quite a chunk of change. Like, I think isn't it supposed to have like at the very least you should have like a new lunar biome, isn't it? Like in
Yeah.
space.
It was cool.
Um,
Like,
but most of the marketing material, it's in the usual old, kind of, what is it, Caustic Valley-ish, sort of farmland valley-ish and Iceland-ish, like all the stuff we see in MWO and MechWarrior 5 already. So, yeah, at least personally, I wasn't too enthused about the game. But the biggest thing to notice for me was just that the advertising looks like it's better for all the people on Xbox or Steam or whatever, but the DLC, I don't really feel the DLC is sold very well.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
which to be fair makes sense. I guess PGI's main objective here was to sell the game to those people who didn't buy it on Epic and obviously those people who can now get on Xbox. I don't think any of us actually own an Xbox, right?
No.
So
No.
we can't really say how much marketing even is possible on Xbox. I have no idea how the Xbox Game Store looks, so maybe it was greatly promoted there. On Steam, there wasn't really a whole lot. I
Yeah.
guess the cross promotion of MechWarrior Online was pretty solid, but I feel like that's a bit too small of an audience to market a game to if you want the game to really succeed.
Yeah.
True.
In my head, at least, if you're trying to market the DLC, at least I like nerdy material that just has the basic kind of stuff like, all right, guys, you've enjoyed MechWarrior 5, but look at this. This is a mech rifle. This is how it fires.
Exactly.
This is a mech with ECM. This is how it plays in game. Gameplay things showing off the new tech and materials. Here's a mech moving really fast with Mask. This is how it is in a single player game. Wow, Mask in a single player game. Now we could just knock off the trading wheels and just go crazy with it. But I
Yep.
haven't seen anything about the new technology, really, how it plays.
It's
And yeah,
now that you say that, I'm again thinking of League of Legends, and I'm bringing League of Legends up so often because they do so many things so well, and marketing is certainly one of them. Every time they have a new champion out, they do champion spotlights where they tease the champion with a short cinematic. They tease it with a story-focused cinematic to get a background story, and they tease it with a champion preview to show the gameplay.
Mhm.
As you're saying this, Spider, this would have been a great opportunity to tease like the mech rifle.
Yeah.
Like,
Kim
are you
lasers.
unable to afford those fancy AC-10s? Are you from a backwards periphery planet? Then this is the solution for you. Like this kind of marketing material would have been great for the DLC.
Yeah,
It
same for
doesn't.
the mechs as well, Corsair and stuff and like that. Just explaining, oh, the Charger. It was meant as a giant scout mech, so it moves really fast. There's no plot space,
And it
and you
doesn't
just see the
take that.
Charger running around.
And it doesn't take that much to actually do what you guys are talking about. It's just maybe about like 2 hours of brainstorming and then kind of pump something out. It'll be pretty easy to
Yeah.
do. And then since I know PGI is a small company, but still, like you could get one person say, okay, here's your day. Just make a couple things, and we're gonna go pop those things out, and that's what you got to do.
Hey Bob,
Yeah,
let's do it.
let's do it.
If PGI doesn't do it, let's do it ourselves. Let's do some marketing videos.
Let me
Once
get
you're settled,
let me get
I'd
settled
be excited
first.
to do it.
Well, I don't know if I can be excited back then, once I get, settled down. So I don't know. So yeah.
Fair.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But yeah, I do totally know what you're talking about. I've seen it like with other games. I think
Mhm.
Heroes of the Storm also did it. It's a short 5-minute video, just first off, just here's the fluff for our new stuff and basically how it plays. Hey, if you're more interested, here's a bit more of an explanation.
Yeah.
And it's a
Yeah.
nice digestible chunk. I love those kind of videos.
And that
All right.
promotes the
That-
game so much more than just pop it out like here's some art. I mean, that's it. And that'd be so good. And that's a standard game advertising.
Yeah, let's not settle on advertising too long, but two more things to bring up. They did do some advertisement on Twitch where they paid some streamers and YouTubers to play the game.
Yeah.
As far as I can tell, they didn't get any of the really big personalities. Personally, I haven't seen any of the sponsored content. I just saw on Twitter, like, hey, X and Y are playing the game, and there were names I've never heard. So, yay, they did some cross promotion there. And then one thing, I'm sorry, PGI, I have to bring it up. What is this?
What the hell,
You
dude?
produced so many really great box arts, and then you do a box art with the Atlas 2, which isn't in the game.
Yeah.
Why?
That's an unnamed mech, right? The Atlas
It's
2.
actually a named mech, and you can find it on Sana. It's the Atlas 2, nicknamed Warlord.
But that's
It
from the
basically
unnamed
just
era.
moves the ballistic slots to the arm,
Yeah.
and I believe it comes stock with a USC 20, something big like that. And it's not a bad design. It's just not a design that exists in 3015.
Well, also too, like
And
on Twitter, they were saying I forget who it was, but they were saying like, "Hey, man, yeah, the AC-20 is not an arm for one, and the Atlas doesn't do jumping jacks like that, so it just doesn't work." And it seems like they actually
well, the
hired
Atlas
someone.
2 does. That's the frustrating
Well,
thing. This is
okay,
a
okay,
really good piece of
okay.
art. I enjoy it so much.
Forget
It's
the
just
Atlas
not
2.
art that belongs to this game.
It has to be lore wise, basically. This is not a lore mech compared to like what it should be, basically from a 3015 like Atlas. It just seems like they
All
actually
right.
said, "Okay, you artist, here's a picture of an atlas, make it cool," and that's what they did. And then the artist looked up, oh, Atlas 2, it won't matter, like Atlas 1 or 2, like whatever. And then they popped that thing in. Oh, that's beautiful. That's
And it's
gorgeous.
annoying because they have so much good art. If you just
Yeah,
scroll through the MechWarrior 5 Twitter, they really have a lot of really good designs
yeah.
that I would gladly print out and honestly put on the wall. Most of them are really good. And yeah, just that one that got a bit of traction on Twitter because
Yeah, it did.
obvious reasons. All right,
Okay.
enough marketing. Shall we move on to some of the more juicier
Okay.
things?
Let's move on to the gameplay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we dive in, let's maybe revise our game rating we did. Just give the audience a baseline, how we rated the game last time around, and then let's update it at the end of the segment to see
Okay.
if how much the DLC and update changed it. So to rehash, I know for a fact Bida gave it a 4.5 because I was confused back then why a 0.5. I believe Bob gave it a 6 and I was fairly optimistic back then, gave it a 7 out of 10. Looking back at it, I was definitely too optimistic. I should have probably given it a 6 out of 10 as well, but hey, that's what I gave it back then.
Yep.
So
Just
let's
to
come
go
to those
over
numbers.
my reasoning a little bit, just was
Yeah,
that
go ahead.
um, it was at its core you're wanting to just play, the mercenary career experience, and I felt like there were a lot of things hampering that. That it wanted to do one thing, and there were so many things niggling at you that pulled away from it, from even just that basic level of just I want to sit down and grind down some mechs. It really pulls at your patience with this game, and so that's why it's like, okay, it's almost a minimal viable product, but it isn't even built properly for that minimal viable product, and so therefore 5 minus a little bit.
Okay. I think mine was there was nothing really flourish to the game. The map was the map changed in 3027 after the Fourth Succession War, and like you're saying, what the hell happened? And they fixed it like in this, but at that time, it didn't really feel like you're a mercenary unit. You're just kind of like, I'm a mech collector. I'm just collecting mechs. That's all I'm doing. And it got really repetitive. Really repetitive, like further into the game, where you're trying to find stuff to do inside the game to make it actually viable to go play again.
Yeah. I'm completely on the same boat. The game just felt empty after a certain time once the novelty of MechWarrior 5 wore off. You just quickly realized all the missions are kind of the same, and the gameplay loop is just jump to a system, do a mission, jump to industrial lab, prepare, jump to a system, do a
Yeah,
mission, and so on and so forth.
that was before.
Okay, but that's
Yeah,
pre-patch.
yeah.
Yep.
And then we got a great patch. Or, well, was it great? Let's dive in. First off, sure, let's start with this post and talk about pricing. MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries now costs $30 rather than the original 50 or 32 on sale. So they basically took the sale price and made it permanent, which in my opinion is a great change. The game has been out for a year now, and $30 is a lot more matching to the actual value of the game than the original 50 were.
Yeah,
Don't you agree?
yeah. It matches like the title, the A to double A title basically that it is. So yeah,
Yeah. And then the Heroes of the Innosphere DLC, $20. Um, I guess we'll talk about value in a few minutes, but just to notice, like, DLC, 2/3 of the price of the main game. We'll come back to that in a
yeah,
short bit. And two big things that were part of this launch post. Let's talk about those because they're on the big post. Infantry has been cut from the game. According to us on Twitter, that was mostly down to the performance on Xbox. In order to make infantry fun enough, they had to implement too much logic for the Xbox One to handle. So they had to cut it to make the game still run fine on the Xbox. So they just cut it out altogether and are gonna give it to the PC community as a mod because PCs can handle infantry and Xbox can't. So Xbox will not get it for now.
damn you
And
Xbox.
anyone on the PC community will have to install a mod when it launches. That's the even more annoying part. Infantry is not out as part of the update.
I think it
Ah,
yeah, yeah. It was advertised with infantry until like I think the last day, and they decided not to go do it. and it's upsetting because I wanted the infantry in this so bad because I want to go squish them like little dudes running through the place. But and in the beta, yeah, they were tough. They were. I mean, you get stuck for some. You get stuck in the infantry line. You're gonna be toast. But it was cool, and I wanted infantry in this so bad, but it's gonna be later on, which I'm kind of upset about that. That's one of the things is kind of like on my review of this, it kind of went down a little bit because of that, especially the
Mm.
last day.
I'll give PGI a pass on this one because it's part of the free update. So if they cut features from a free update, we technically can't complain.
No,
It's still annoying, and putting it in as a mod is, in my opinion, the wrong choice. I would have put it in just in the base game and done a menu toggle on the PC version. Because
Yeah.
as soon as you publish something as a mod, first off, player is less likely to discover that it even exists
yeah,
because casual players are probably not going to even look at mods if they just want to play the game. Second off, if you publish something as a mod, you give the impression that it's not polished enough to be a part of the real game. And I don't think that's what's going to happen here with PGI. I do think they're going to put out infantry in the same quality as a mod as they would have had it quality-wise if it was part of the main game. But again, it's a mod. It's going to give the impression that it's less high quality. And that's just honestly a bad decision.
and you do bring up a good point though about like casual players not looking and figuring out like where it is, and so that's my thing. And with the advertising that they have, it's not gonna. A lot of people won't go, oh, have you played the infantry yet? It's like, what? There's infantry? Are you kidding? And then then they won't actually go and know about it. So you bring a good point about
Mm.
that. I
Yeah.
don't know.
In some ways I like the idea of just a toggle. In fact, I would like to be able to toggle things like turrets or maybe even just aircraft and the like. So if I just want to fight tanks and mechs and stuff, I could do that rather than having all the hassle.
Okay.
Because there's some questions in my head, like I don't know how it plays yet, but the issue they had with turrets was that all they can do is just spread the turrets out at random.
God, yeah.
Like they couldn't actually select where the turrets go, and I'm wondering like how well they can select where the infantry go, and those kind of mechanics I don't really like, and so therefore I would want to just toggle them off just to reduce the amount of flies I'm swatting in this game.
Well, there's a
Mm.
purpose on having those flies, like that we'll get into later about the cantinas and jobs.
Okay. Next up,
Yeah.
crossplay for co-op. Unless Spider, you want to add something for infantry for now?
No. Yeah, I was just going. Oh, okay. Yeah,
You know.
there's something going on with the jobs. I don't know how they're implemented
Yeah.
yet.
All right.
Um.
Crossplay, really important thing.
Yeah.
It supposedly works quite well. You can crossplay with all platforms the game is released on. Only the host needs to have the DLC in order for everyone else to access the DLC content. And it works by generating a invite code, which is a 9 or 10-digit number that you can just copy and paste to the person who wants to join. So it's really easy. It works. Yay.
Been having some problems with like getting friends from Steam. Like I was playing Steam and trying to get a friend from Epic, and it's been having some issues about it like connecting. That's the only thing that I've found for the crossplay.
Yeah, I think the PGI server that manages the whole invite system was a bit funky the first few
Okay.
days. I played with one of our friends we're both on Epic, but we weren't able to get each other to show up as online in game. We had to use the Epic overlay system to
Yeah.
invite each other. So
Yeah.
yeah,
There's
bit flunky. When it works great.
there's not too many games I think that do crossplay all these different platforms like this. Often like if you're sometimes like MechWarrior Online or Warframe or others, you log in, you always have to provide your own login to their servers basically, so everybody joins the same hub, so to speak. It doesn't matter where you're launching. But with MechWarrior 5, it's not like you're logging into the MechWarrior 5 servers so much. It's just, yeah, it's interesting that you have to go through PGI servers, but that means the crossplay is only around as long as they have their own separate server that everybody can connect to.
That is true. That is actually a long-term concern. Yeah.
True.
So currently you cannot connect via IP directly. You have to go through the PGI server. That's an interesting point.
Yeah.
That might be something that should be addressed at some point.
Maybe. Yeah. Okay.
hmm
Mods and modding.
Right. Last point on the main post, mods and modding. Mods are not going to be upwards compatible for the most part, so wait for the update. Just the usual stuff, big update. Don't continue to use your mods without updating them first.
Sure. So, I guess we get into the gameplay, or what, or Mech the Fourth.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull up the Mech the Fourth post because there's a fairly good summary of what we actually got.
Okay.
And I don't know that we want to go over every point right now, since all of us have only put a few hours into the game so far.
Have you two, so like just getting right into it,
Mhm.
the new story, have you guys seen the new beginning for the campaign?
Actually, I played
I
career.
jumped straight into career.
Yeah, basically started like in
Yes.
career to check it out because I figured the story was kind of like the same. So I didn't see the story yet.
Yeah, I have seen, because a lot of people streaming it aren't necessarily picking up the DLC, or they're just clicking campaign again. And yeah, there's a whole reworked big starting story mission and stuff. It's not so cheesy, let's just say.
Yeah.
It looks a little better. It's still, obviously it's not a AAA game with amazing cutscenes or anything like that, but they've put a lot more work into the introduction.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Not too bad. Yeah. I started with I started all over. I started completely over. I went with Davion, and then I think I'm level 8 right now. And the game,
Hey, high five for
Hey.
Devian.
yeah. Well, I can't do Canopus, CGI, but yeah. So, but it is there. So I'm kind of happy they actually put the planet in.
Question about, obviously this is the career mode where you can actually start as a certain faction at a certain faction.
Yeah.
How random is it? Like, did you both start with the same mechs? What mechs did you actually
It is
start with?
not at all random. You get a fixed starting planet and
Yeah.
you get a fixed starting composition that changes according to which faction you pick.
Mhm.
Interestingly enough, if you pick Free Republic Reshalhag, you start in
30,
30,
35,
45
30,
or
35?
47, so shortly before the clan invasion would happen.
Okay.
Which makes sense because the faction is much newer. So
I
Mhm.
found that kind of weird though. Why would they have everyone else start at 3015 and then Rascal starts in 35 47s around there? I
well,
forgot
because
where.
3015 is the actual year of the game, and
Well,
then Reshalhag was presumably just to appease the
but
fan
why
base.
would they okay, you just appease people, I guess. I don't know. They put Canopus in. Anyways,
I do
Yeah,
actually
you're
like
just pissed because they didn't do Canopus.
damn right.
Admit it.
in so I do like in a way the idea of at least having the option to choose a different starting date, because I've always
Yes.
said that some things like the Raven are an interesting light mech, but you move far out of light mechs from the usual
Yeah,
starting date
yeah.
before the Raven is actually rolling off the production lines.
True. Actually, you're true about that. Yeah, true. Because it
Yeah.
has a
That's
power
What
not
creep.
what mechs do you start with in that career path?
Oh
Because
God.
my complaint was a little bit just that you start with Centurion, and Centurion's a really solid pick, and um, I'm just playing Centurion forever until eventually maybe I'll get something I want, like an Orion, which is a bigger Centurion basically.
I think I started with the two
So there
locuses.
are
Sorry, go ahead.
there are two factions where you start with mediums, which are Steiner that starts with a Griffin and 3 light mechs, and Devian which starts with an Enforcer and 3 light mechs.
Yeah.
On the Devian side, you get a Locust, a Spider, and a
I thought it was two locuses and a spider.
I think 2 Locusts and a
Yeah.
Spider. Yeah, you get the Missile Locust and a Machine Gun
Yeah.
Locust.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Steiner, you obviously get a Griffin, a Commando, or something else. Kuita, you get a Jenna. Merrick gives you an Assassin, and Liao starts with all light mechs.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can pick a bit of variety. You can also kind of pick your starting difficulty. Obviously, if you pick up the Griffin or Enforcer, which are pretty solid mechs in MechWarrior 5, you can hold on to them for a long while. If you start with all light mechs, you're gonna have a much harder time ranking up those first few hours. Yeah, it's nice to have variety. I kind of hope they add a random option at some point.
Yeah, that would be cool.
More options to start with is just going to be nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
more options generally.
Well, it is nice that they actually put the mechs that were quote iconic in those factions. So that's kind of
Yeah.
nice about that.
It's one of those things that you don't notice when you play MechWarrior 5, but they did actually put a lot of attention to where mechs make sense and where you can buy and fight against certain mechs.
Yeah, true.
It just completely goes under because most of the game is so bland.
True. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Going back very quick to the free update, we talked about the campaign change. Gameplay changes are all really good. One thing that really stands out, salvage crates can now be found exploring the map.
Yes.
That's really cool.
Yes.
They, most of the time, don't give a whole lot, but sometimes they give you really interesting weapons that you probably wouldn't buy from the store. So it's nice to just get some random weapons and try them out.
Well, what happens with that, which I had a problem, that's why I gave it a 6 in the last review, was there's, you only went to your assigned location, which was exactly going straight towards the objective and screw everything else that they built for the whole map. Now, with salvage crates, I'm actually running around the whole map looking for salvage crates just to go get them and see what's in them. So it actually, it put a purpose into the game to let you, go outside of the parameters of just running towards the objective and killing everything. So this is good. They putting those in was like just a stroke of genius to get people to do different things inside the game, or at least have purpose inside the game for going different places.
I talked about it with a friend, and we agreed this change is a completionist's nightmare. If you're one of the people who needs to 100% everything, you're gonna spend so many hours just walking over empty maps, finding all of those little crates for very little benefit.
I wish there's a better way to go ahead and look at or go and find them, except for being within a proximity. So like I'm running around and look, there's a building over there all across the map. God damn, I gotta walk over there now with my.
I think that's fine. My main issue is that the AI doesn't pick them up.
No, they do actually.
In
They
general,
do.
the
They do. Yeah, the AI
They
picks them
do?
up. Yeah, basically, and plus your friends can pick them up too. Yeah, the AI picks
your
them up.
friends in co-op can pick them up.
Yeah.
The AI has not picked them up on my game yet.
It has a mine. It has a mine actually.
Okay, cool. But still, you can't open up a map and order one of your light mechs to just go around the corners and do stuff.
That'd be good.
Which is also gonna come in when we talk about the new mission type they added in the DLC.
Yeah.
So that's still meh, but yeah, salvage crates, great change. Yep.
Yeah, how do you feel about the new radar, 360-degree line of sight radar?
It's there.
So much better.
Yeah, it's good. I haven't got BAP yet, but still, it's not too bad.
Because I don't even know what really BAP provides, but
It's the non-line of sight, which helps a lot if you have stuff behind a mountain or down in a ravine and you can't find it. This gives you the ability to lock on.
Because like sometimes the vehicles get stuck behind mountains, and so you got to run around the whole mountain to go and get them. So yeah.
Yeah, that's much nicer. Your AI companions always sort of kept their eyes on a swivel, but there was always going to be kind of blind spots, and now you don't have the blind spots in the duck hunt.
Yeah, true.
Okay, so all of these changes are really positive. One minor change that really bothers me that did to the user interface is they moved the contracts from being a tab up on the top to a small button on the home menu. And it always takes me a couple seconds to find and click that button. Otherwise, everything they did on the update is definitely an improvement.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh yeah.
I wish they had done more, but I don't have any complaints with what they did.
The
major ones.
The applied paint. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you only have the base game, so basically 360 line of sight radar, there's salvage crates. They mentioned rebalancing difficulty and economy. Is that particularly different or noticeable?
The mechs are easy to kill. I mean, it's pretty easy to kill these mechs. You just get overwhelmed sometimes when you have 60 helicopters, 300 tanks, and like 20 mechs coming at you. But generally though, the mechs are pretty easy to kill though.
And I feel like they lowered time to kill on player mechs, but that's just my subjective feeling that I can't prove with data just yet.
Because my understanding, at least an issue with the game, was you start off in a light mech against rookie pilots, and the way they programmed it is if you're going fast, they're less likely to hit you. So your faster mechs are just taking the AI are less likely to roll a hit, and when you got to the later game, you're going around in tour assault mechs, and the game says, all right, well, all the people you're up against are pros, so they have a higher hit percentage. Oh, and you're only moving like 50 kph. So that resulted in a lot of damage landing on the player's heavier mechs. So even though they became a lot more durable, they've got a lot more hits on them. But I haven't really seen enough of late game or early game to really tell the difference.
I'm only at the. I got a couple of heavy mechs and then a bunch of medium mechs right now. So it's still kind of easy to kill mechs, but not to the fact that I'm playing against pros. I'm playing against like veterans and stuff like that. But that's about it. But I guess like it might change. I don't know. Who knows? But right now it's pretty easy.
We'll have
I
to
was,
talk about that in the future more.
Yeah.
when
that
we
one's
actually
very hard to
change the
tell
game.
when we only have a bullet point. We don't have the exact
Yeah.
details.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the free players, it's just a quality of life improvements.
Yeah.
Also, AI uses jump jets. Hell yeah, they do. My
Yeah, they do.
spider never touches the ground anymore.
They're just.
Do they ever shoot either?
Yeah, they shoot actually. They shoot while they're jumping up. So yeah.
I just because the jump jets generate a lot of heat and
I-
the lasers generate heat. It's just got 10 single heat sinks.
I have a spider that I took out everything except one medium laser, maxed the armor. That mech is constantly jumping, it's drawing all the fire, it does 0 damage, but it also doesn't take any damage and it just draws attention like crazy. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
Alright, let's move on to the DLC content, which is a bit more in general. We talked about career mode.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
great. Should
yeah.
have been on a base game.
Well, it's BattleTech Lite, basically for the career mode from like
But it
Harebrained
is, of
Schemes.
course, behind the paywall. I think for Harebrained Schemes Battletech, it was what, a free update. Everyone had career
Yes.
mode.
I think it was a free update. Yeah.
I actually think it was in the base game at launch.
Not
No,
much, but they put
you-
it in later on though.
They
Okay.
put in later. It started off with just the campaign,
Yeah.
where you're always, going through the same motions to start with.
Career
But
path.
yeah, career mode, good to have. No real complaints there. Career paths with cantinas. So
Great idea.
let me quickly. Great idea.
Oh yeah,
Pretty good execution. So what
Mhm.
cantinas are, on some planets you can find cantinas, which are basically in your menu you can open, and you can take small missions. Those missions can be anything from fly to a certain war zone, do a contract there, and salvage a police body armor off the battlefield. They can be, here's a type of vehicle or mech, kill X amounts of them,
Mhm.
or gather X amount of a very specific weapon like a TSCO SRM2. And when you have all of those, you can hand them in for a pretty substantial reward. And probably more important, you unlock so-called career
Upgrades.
paths, which gives you global bonuses to all of your mechs, which are kind of like the MechWarrior skill tree, just applied globally to all of your mechs.
Basically, with the
So-
That's a
upgrades,
quick summary of
you
this.
kind of drag them into the mech you want to have. It costs money and costs time to go put them in there. So like some of the upgrades are like plus 7% damage with like energy weapons. And so if you have an energy boat type mech, drag them into the upgrade slots, and each mech has a certain amount of slots. Like say the Awesome has like I think like 7 slots. You get drag that into the slot, and then it costs money to upgrade that Awesome to have the plus 7% damage or plus 5% damage and like -5 heat, like whatever upgrades you want to have depending on the type of career path that you're doing. So just like you said, like the collector, if you collect say like a Centurion, you get points in that skill tree or like in that tree, and then every I think it's like 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and then every time you actually do those jobs, they're called jobs basically, you get points into that type of career path. And it's actually really cool. I love the idea. It gives you a purpose in the game to do to do things instead of actually just running around and hopefully you're gonna figure out something to do. Like inside the game, it gives you purpose into the game, and you could actually say upgrade like say like a Locust with a bunch of movement slots. or the upgrades, or like say your spider, you have a bunch of jump jet like upgrades. So it's kind of like the MechWarrior Online skill tree, just like you said. It's kind of like that, but it just gives you something to do inside the game, and I love it. I love that idea.
Where in the mech lab do we apply those? Because
It's on the bottom. It's on the bottom
honestly,
right. It's on the bottom
okay.
right. Yeah, bottom right.
Okay, I'll be honest. I thought the skills were just applied globally.
No,
I
actually,
did not
No.
find the menu.
Now basically you gotta on the bottom right it says upgrades, like when you go to Mech Lab, and then you click that, and then it has like say like whatever mech you have clicked, it has equipment or like upgrade slots, and you drag like say you got the +5, +5 like energy damage, drag that into whatever upgrade slot you have, and then that mech has +5% damage, like with energy weapons.
Yeah.
But it costs money and time to do
Cool.
it though. Yeah, it's a really cool idea.
So I think the base game was a little bland in the sense that there was only a couple of layers. One was C-bills, and the other was really just sort of your mechs and equipment.
Yeah.
There was time, I guess, but time just felt so inconsequential in that game. It just flies by. Um, and adding this extra layer gives you some things to trade off or consider. At least since you're also spending you have other things to do in your quests. Your quests aren't always just go down to planet, do thing, leave, see what's get my C-bill earnings and see what salvage randomly lands into my lap.
Yeah.
This is an extra layer to it. Though I do kind of find it funny that, in my head, the imagery I have is that you walk into a bar and you see McNish and he just gives you an MWO event quest, a little mini one for you to do. And then slowly you can unlock the skill tree.
Yeah.
And that skill tree takes a lot of time and effort to just even, implement on your mechs.
Yeah, it does actually.
Which just takes a lot of extra. It's an extra drain on your C-bills on a single player game. This is not a free to play economy. This is just you're just playing the game because you find it fun, and it's a single player game.
Yeah.
And how so? Questions I have is, can you sort of choose missions that follow a certain path? Like you think, oh, all of these nodes are worthless except heat management, for the sake of argument.
No.
Can I just pick that tree? Can I just pursue the quests that give me
Yes.
XP in that?
Any quest you get as part of one of the 5 trees, and you can see in advance what those trees are going to give you at certain levels.
Yeah,
So you can definitely pursue specific ones.
Yeah, like the collector tree. Sorry, go ahead.
Honestly, I like it enough that I'd say this system would be great even without the bounty on top. Just having those extra jobs, completing them, getting rewards for doing it is fun enough that I obviously
An
didn't
extra
even
layer.
notice that I wasn't getting the benefits out
Yeah,
of it.
yeah, man. Like you have to go to cantinas and open up, but it only opens when you're actually level 4. We have a prestige level 4, so the game opens up at level 4. So that's one thing I kind of like when I was looking at it at the first time. I'm like, where the hell's career pass? Damn it, where is it? And it's like it wasn't anywhere until level 4 that opened up. Like, oh, cool, I can see the cantinas now.
Yeah. To be
How long
fair,
does
you do
do you
get
think? Sorry,
Can
I
you
was
hear
just
me?
going to ask, how long does it take to get to level 4? Like,
Oh,
how
not
long
far.
does it take until the game gets
Not long.
better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 hours, 2-3 hours, like at the most. Like at the most.
Yeah, I'd say that you do need to do a few missions to get to level
I think it was
4.
like
So
5 missions or something like that, but I'm not sure.
If you really want to cheese it, you can cheese it the same way you can cheese C-bills. Just do a bunch of raid missions with single light mech, and you can unlock it in 40 minutes or so.
But the thing is, like with the career pass for the cantinas, you're gonna have only up to 6. So like one of mine's killing the Volt helicopters, which I get to kill 15 of them to get X amount of points and X amount of like rewards for it. So sometimes no helicopters pop in the match. No helicopters pop in a thing, like 1 or 2, and then I gotta go. Oh crap! Now I gotta go do more missions to get more helicopters, and hopefully a whole fleet of helicopters comes so I can kill them and get that bonus job.
It's kind of fun because it forces you to pick certain missions. For example, I currently have 4 jobs active where I need to kill a specific light mechs. So I am heavily encouraged to go back to the starting area and do some of those really easy missions because that's where I'm gonna find light mechs.
That's what I do too. Actually, like Urby mechs, you gotta kill 3 Urby mechs to get them
one more
done.
thing to mention: a lot of these things are collector quests. Check the markets. I've had a couple of times where I got a quest to collect X amount of a specific weapon. I checked the market, could buy it, and immediately handed him.
Yep.
And
That's what I did. Yep.
it's I'm not even mad. It's really fun when that happens. I'm just enjoying it.
It's like food pellets, basically, right? It's like food pellets for like mice. It's like, oh yeah, I got a food pellet. Cool.
So yeah, career paths, great addition. I'm hoping they do more of it in the future. For now, it's a really good system. I'm enjoying it a lot.
Yeah. Good
New
addition.
mechs, 7 new chassis. Bob, did you find any of those yet?
Yeah, I found the Vulcan. I could have bought the Charger. I could have bought the Dervish. Could have bought the Champion. And then that's the only ones I've seen so far.
Yeah, so just more variety for you to pick up. Again, no complaints, more variety is good. None of these mechs, in my opinion, really stand out as something you have to search for, which is good. So it's just more choice.
I find it weird. Like I was playing on one of my friends' stream, and the Charger popped out. I'm like, oh wow, 5 small lasers. What am I going to do? It's like okay.
Oh yeah, MechWarrior 5 customization system. The Charger is useless.
Yeah, the Charger is pretty much useless. Like in the game, it's like okay.
Oh god.
But I think they have the variants of it though. But yeah, the Charger popped out. I'm like, I just ignore that guy. Let's go after this guy. It's pretty stupid. I don't know.
Stock Vulcan is kind of meh as well. It's
It's
machine
okay.
guns and flamers. It's an anti-infantry sort of role, and we haven't even got the mod yet for that.
Yeah,
Yay.
I guess Vulcan be a lot better once the infantry comes in.
I want to jump forward a bit and talk about the equipment real quick because with the 50 new variants, including new variants for existing chassis, all of this equipment is again MechWarrior 5 customization fixed to a certain slot that your variant needs to have.
Yeah.
So even if you find ECMs, you need to find a mech that can actually mount an ECM. Same for Mask, Supercharger, Active Probe. You need to find a mech that has a slot where you can mount it, which is pretty frustrating because, again, if you start on 3015, this kind of equipment isn't really common. So variants that can mount it don't really exist. So for quite some time, you can pick up the equipment, but you can't really do anything with it. And I really wish they would just get rid of the whole slot system and do it differently.
Yeah,
It does mean sort of you're only picking them up early game just so that you have spares once your AI pilots start wrecking them in the future.
Yep.
I've only seen one mech with the Supercharger, which was the Shadowhawk, and I decided not to get it though. I decided not to get the Shadowhawk because I didn't have the money, but I had the Supercharger. You go put it in it. And it's like, well, but I'm probably not going to use that by the time I get to the assault mechs. I'm like, what am I going to do with the Shadowhawk? Type thing. So it has a power creep thing and ECM all that kind of stuff. I do agree with you. It kind of sucks. Like I have something. I think it's a mask. I have a couple masks, but no mechs to put mask in. So now you go find the mechs to go put that stuff in.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, whatever.
Yeah, especially superchargers are considered low tech, and there's even a pop-up in the news section where like periphery pirates start developing supercharger stuff, or mechs are getting supercharged, something like that.
Yeah.
It's low tech, but even it being low tech, you don't have any mechs where you can actually use it. And it's just annoying. I found a ECM mech, which was an SLDF mech, and that's about all. So I haven't even had the chance to try Mask and Supercharger yet.
Yeah, they're interesting enough sort of options, but it's also, in my head at least, when I played the game, that there was a few primary concerns. One was just, well, make money, and two is just do it quickly. And for that, all you need is plenty of armor. Armor is always, replaced, and just plenty of weapons that just deal damage and are fairly common. So, oh hey, I'll pick up this mech. It has a whole bunch of medium lasers or whatever weapons I have plenty of spares in. I'll throw it in the mission, destroy the enemies, and get the job done. Things like mask and superchargers, they increase your agility, but they don't. That just makes you better at sprinting through the buildings in that one mission type. What's the point in really investing a ton or two in being more agile when I should just find a variant that shoots good? That was always just my priority.
That's
I
the
kind
problem.
of disagree.
No.
All of these equipments, when you can actually use them, are really good. And especially the ECM is the one I'm primarily using right now. It just makes you less fragile because the enemy will hit you less. So it's basically just a buff to your evasion.
Yeah,
And
okay, if that's how it works. Because yeah,
I
the
don't-
infotech is the most intriguing because obviously just awareness with the Beagle Active Probe is good to have, and evasiveness, so the enemy not seeing you as much of ECM is very handy. But agility, I just don't see the value in it.
I use agility a whole lot with the new salvage system, and most importantly, we're going to talk about the new mission type in a second, where you have to find artillery. And again, it's one of those things that's really useful to have, but most of the time you're just not going to have it. And it comes back to kind of like the MechWarrior online system. It's cool to have specific variants that can mount this equipment, because it means you actually have to make a conscious choice which variant you want, and there are trade-offs you have to make. But currently, there aren't enough variants, in my opinion, to really give you that choice.
And they don't show up for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on, tiny bit. New missions, hunt down 7 heroes. I haven't found any of those quests yet. Bob, have you?
I found a couple of heroes. It's the Hunchback hero. I forgot the Gridiron.
Mhm.
I've found that one, and I found a couple other ones, but I haven't really bought them because I don't have enough money for them. I've been spending my money like
Okay,
a drunken
yeah,
sailor.
store-wise. But did you find the actual hero quests
No.
where you have to hunt those mechs?
No, I haven't actually. No.
Okay, so we'll talk about those in the future, hopefully. New procedural mission type, BrioS.
God, that was hard.
It's really crazy. You land on a planet, and basically we have to take out and capture a base.
Mhm.
And there are a bunch of things that happen around it. You can destroy radar dishes to spawn in reinforcements from allies. There's always, as far as I'm aware, artillery. Sometimes it's active at the start, and you have to take it out immediately. Sometimes it becomes active at some point
Yeah.
when you've already captured the base, and you kind of need to kill the artillery or ignore it for a while, where you deal with all the other enemies. It's a high stress game mode that feels really rewarding to play. So I like it a lot, and it's much needed variety for the game.
Yeah, I loved it. It was just like you said, stressful. I'm like, I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, holy cow, there's artillery all over the place. You have to move constantly because otherwise you'd be hit by like by the arty. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun, and they should do more missions. They should pop in more missions with other updates, just different things to
Yep.
do, and that's what makes it like when I see Beachhead now, I'm like, I really want to do Beachhead. I don't want to sit there and
Yeah.
type of thing. But yeah,
It's like
it's
I
cool.
really want to do it because it's fun, but I don't quite have the tonnage, and I don't trust my air pilots
Exactly.
enough.
Exactly.
Like, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, artillery is easy to dodge,
Mm-hmm.
but you need to remember to dodge
Dodge
it when
it,
you're
yeah.
mid-fight.
Yeah, true.
By the way, jump jets are great for clearing artillery.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Right.
all depends how you sort of look at the game. In my head, it's like, it's higher risk, hopefully higher reward. But if it's too
Mm.
high risk, it's sometimes just like, oh, I'm going to lose a bunch of equipment, and I much prefer the ribbon without this game mode.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's your choice as a player, so addition of new game modes are always great.
New
New
biome.
biome looks really cool.
I loved it.
Don't have much else to say.
It was cool. It looks neat. Plus also like don't they have like other atmospheres like like effects like hazards and all that kind of stuff like snow blindness, that kind of stuff. Did they add that in or was that before?
That's new.
Oh,
And
that's
you
new,
get
okay.
hazard pay if you play in one of those hazardous environments.
Yeah.
Like there's some where you just don't have any visuals really
God, yeah,
because
that was
there's too
fun.
much fog going on. And you basically have to trust your senses. In exchange, you get percentage higher for the negotiation stuff, and you get some extra hazard pay.
Pretty cool.
More variety. It's a really cool addition.
Yeah. I haven't actually used arties yet and airstrikes. I haven't figured out how to
They
use that yet.
are so ridiculously fun.
Oh, really?
So before you dive into a mission, you negotiate, and you can sacrifice some of your salvage or Siebel shares to reserve some airstrikes. So effectively, an artillery airstrike costs you about 250,000 Siebels for most of the missions. And it's absolutely worth it. Basically, you open up a menu, and you have to aim the airstrike with your mouse or joystick and target the position and then hold the trigger for a while where the airstrike narrows in. And then the area is marked. Your mechs have to get out, and after a few seconds, the airstrike comes in and devastates anything in there. And
Okay.
it's not powerful by any means. I feel like the best use is in demolition missions against those tall buildings that are just annoying to kill. But it's so much fun to use, and it's so satisfying when it comes in. And it's really great.
I'll have to start using those now. Nice.
It is really fun. I would just hope that maybe in the future we'll get a mod or an update where I can aim it on the map rather than having to aim it with a cursor.
Yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, really fun.
Okay, new equipment. I haven't used any of this stuff yet, so I have no clue.
Yep. Lastly, new weapons. Chem lasers. I've tried them with friends. We agreed that they weren't really worth it. They're really heavy.
Yeah,
They generate much less heat.
they have ammo.
They require ammo in exchange, and they have slightly lower damage. And we just ended up using the base lasers with the
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, and I think I tried it once on my Panther. I switched out the PPC to a large Kim laser. Okay. It's just yeah.
They're supposed to be cheaper,
They are.
but lasers aren't that expensive that it really makes a difference. And even high tier chem lasers, I personally haven't used them. Well, I've used them a bit, but I took them all out because I don't find them worth it.
Short burst lasers.
Short burst lasers, though, are amazing.
Less
I'm
damage.
primarily using the large variety. They do less damage and less DPS, but they focus the damage. And initially I thought, I'll just aim my normal laser and prefer that. But fighting against mechs, especially me with my joystick here, which makes it kind of hard to aim in MechWarrior 5, I really like short burst lasers. It makes aiming much easier.
Or they're kind of like a poor man's pulse laser. Right?
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not bad. It's just I haven't really used them that much. Mech rifles, holy cow! I love these things. These things are freaking amazing.
Mech rifles do less damage than their AC equivalent, but they are considerably lighter. And I feel like they make a lot of sense once you get to 2 heavy rifles in that area.
Yeah, they're. I mean, I popped them on my Shadowhawks, and it's just amazing. Like 2 medium mech rifles. They're hard. They're freaking hard to aim, but still, it's really cool though. Like I love those things. Those are nice.
One thing that's really important to notice with mech rifles, the light mech rifle fits into a small slot where you could usually fit machine guns, AC2s and stuff, and it's a really good choice for lights or mediums with small ballistic slots.
Okay.
Like the road gun. And then stream MRMs are the poor man's medium missile.
Yeah, I haven't used them yet. Okay.
So are they? I assumed it would just be like stream LRMs, just an alternative version. Just they slowly fly out.
Yep, stream SRMs like stream LRMs are flavor for those who like it, like the short burst autocannons. It's flavor, and you can pick whichever one you like more.
Well, if you get
it's cool to have the option.
If you get the negative missile spread, like negative 7.5%, like missile spread with the skill helps out. Like when you have those.
Oh yeah, missile spread.
Yeah.
One thing that's not on this list, as far as I can tell, is Artemis 4. You can get Artemis on both SRMs and LRMs. On SRMs, I haven't used it because I don't feel like there's much of a difference. On LRMs, it's still not as good as just using stream LRMs for doing damage to the enemy. So
Yeah.
Okay.
they're there.
Just in that context, I think, is it Artemis 4? That should be in the base game.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it is actually.
Because these weapons are just, exclusive to if you have to buy the DLC. So, stream SRMs are locked behind a paywall.
Yeah, that's right. They should be base game.
Okay, then we got the links, and let's go over.
So I think we've covered MechWarrior 5 for a while, so we should perhaps think of wrapping up MechWarrior 5, moving on to MWO stuff. So should we talk about like our ratings and how we feel, the game, the base game has changed and how much the game changes with DLC? Let's have
You've
you guys
started
start.
talking. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
All right, okay. I mean, I'm the one who hasn't actually played
Played it,
it, but on paper and the base game, the biggest things are sort of just the 360-degree line of sight and the salvage crates. These are nice, and it certainly does help have adding a new layer. Just there's a reason to explore the maps, and you're not getting jumped so much. But these are very minor increments, and so therefore the base game is mostly the same. Its core issues are slightly addressed, is my guess. But for the most part, my rating isn't going to change. You could add like point 0.1, point 0.2 or something to it if you want. Base game hasn't changed. Heroes of the Inner Sphere DLC. At least as an outsider looking in, there's just a few, key points of interest, which is just the career mode. Some alternate starts is very nice. The career paths and extra incentive system is great, and just having the option for ECM and BAP and stuff, some information warfare, just more options in general. This does add some to the game. It's just for the price they're asking for, you're paying quite a steep price when you're
Mhm.
adding, let's just say 0.5, So it goes from 4.5 to 5 when you bought the DLC, but both of those together is equivalent to what you paid full price to start with.
Yeah, actually, I agree. My initial rating 6, but I'm gonna have to go up one just for the DLC itself, to 7. But it's like a light 7 type thing, so it's like a 6.8 or something like that. But it's more of it gives you purpose in the game a little bit more with the cantinas. It gives you purpose with the salvage. You're doing more things with it. You got jobs. You got enhancements to your mechs. Um, there's new mechs out there. I think though with the DLC, I wouldn't play the base game without the DLC. I know it costs an extra $19 and should be probably about either $9.99 or $14.99. Because I mean, the base game's $29.99 like right now, and that's kind of the steep price for what it is. But I think though that now I have a purpose, but it still has the same problem, power creep. Because once I get to the higher level, like missions, I'm only using my assault mechs, not doing anything else, not using my lights or anything else. They're just in cold storage, and it's still the gameplay is the same on the missions. It's I'm hitting repetitive missions all the time, and I'm getting bored with just those missions, except for Beachhead, like obviously we talked about. The I don't know what they can do with it. Maybe make more missions every couple months or something like that, like 2 or 3 new type of missions. But it's like, okay, well, that's a raid mission. That's 7 minutes and 42 seconds. Okay, this is a or whatever mission, basically like assassination. Okay, that's another 10 minutes. I know exactly how long it's going to take, depending on the map. And it just doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like you're in the game. You're just grinding the mechs, grinding the C-bills, doing the same thing before. But now you kind of have a purpose to do something with the cantinas, with the jobs and everything.
The impression I get from that though is saying it's the same core gameplay. It hasn't necessarily addressed the core issues of the game too much. Though we do know we can now go to the cantina and visit McNish, and he can give us a little bit more purpose in our lives. That's
Exactly.
nice.
Yeah.
Is that worth,
Thank you, Matt.
Is it worth
yes.
$19.99? Yeah, and that's the issue I think it's struggling with like right now. And the people I play with, they kind of say the same thing. I do like it. They added like news for the lore of the map, which is really good. They did a really good job. If you actually read the lore, they actually did a good job on the news. And then the missions, if you read them, not a lot of people read this type of stuff except for weirdos like me. But if you read the lore, it's exactly what it is. 3016 this happened, 3019 this happened, blah blah blah, and they do a really good job at that. And it's just interesting to read. Just interesting to see what happened during that type of during that year. It's the same grind, and I don't know what they can do. I don't, Sawyer should have been in there where you can battle out with like 4 other guys or something like that. That would be kind of cool. They have mech ratings or whatever for MechWarrior 5. But it needs the oomph that the game doesn't have, and that's my issue with the game. But I kind of like it still. I'm doing the upgrades. I love the upgrade option. That is just freaking amazing. Thank you, Matt Newman, for handing out the jobs. But it's cool, and that's cool about it. The mech mech lab, it's the same thing from before. Um, it,
Let's
yeah,
let's
yeah. Go ahead,
give,
Ian.
give Ian a chance.
Yeah, give Ian a chance there.
Yay! I'm allowed to
Yay.
talk. Gwen and I have talked a fair bit this episode. So before the update, I would rate the game as a 6. It's passable, but not great. With the update and DLC, all of the changes are, in my mind, very much positive and very much in the right direction. For me, the main question is it enough? And I'd say for the base game, nah. The base game is still very bland and probably not worth $30. It's a great tech demo. It looks amazing. The new loading screens are a
Oh God, yeah.
beauty to stare at.
Jesus, yeah, that was good. Yeah. Thank you.
The
The
gameplay cycle though
campaign
is
nice. I like that as well.
Mhm.
Just it's not as it's not so corny. It's still pretty corny, but not so corny.
yeah, I just don't know that I would pay that for $30. So for the base game, if you just want the base game, my recommendation would be wait for the first sale, pick it up for
Yep.
20. I'd say at
Um,
this point it's definitely worth 20.
The way I would sort of phrase it would be along the lines of if you're a fan of BattleTech, you probably should already be fairly aware of MechWarrior 5, and that was its core market really when it initially launched. Um, the base game is still that game for the most part. It's just a little better. The DLC, I'm not sure. Like in my head, at least, if somebody still doesn't really know about MechWarrior 5 and they're just coming across it, what can I talk to them about? Well, pick up the base game on Steam and try it out. See if you like the core gameplay loop. If you really do like that, pick up the DLC if you really enjoyed it. Because the things like meeting McNish in the career paths and career modes and all that kind of stuff, that's when you actually are pretty set on the gameplay. You just need to play the base game for 40 minutes or an hour or two and see if this game is up your alley or not. And for that, you don't need the DLC.
Yep, not bad advice. So for me, the DLC, again, everything in the DLC is great. I like the DLC a lot. I just don't think it's quite worth $20 compared to the base game price. For the DLC, I'd say if you already have the base game and you plan on replaying the game, definitely pick it up. Like my value proposition is always for each dollar I spend, I want at least 1 hour of enjoyable gameplay. And if you want to replay the game, then it's definitely worth the extra $20 or 16 on Epic. You can get on Epic a bit cheaper than Steam for some reason to pick it up. It does address a lot of the core issues, just none of them well enough. The customization is still garbage. The gameplay loop is still too repetitive. It crashes up a lot of things, but I feel like we need more DLCs before I can really recommend the game in its full. And for rating wise, I'd say the base game is still gonna be a 6 out of 10. With the DLC, solid 7. It's definitely way more fun, but it's very much still lacking in those core aspects. However, if you have a friend to play the game with you,
It's
that
better with
honestly
friends.
puts it at a solid 8 out of 10.
Oh yeah.
I've had a lot of fun in career mode, and if you do have a friend who wants to play the game with you, I can absolutely recommend picking up the collector's edition with both the base game and DLC.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The game is better with friends. 100% better with friends.
Play with friends, and only one of you needs to pick up the DLC. At
Yeah.
least that is the more friendly side of it.
Yeah, true. It's just, oh man, I don't know.
So yeah, in summary, MechWarrior 5 update and DLC, lots of great changes, all going in the right direction. We need to see more of those.
I hope they actually do more. Basically instead of just like sitting on it for a long time.
Yeah, I really hope they do. Like I don't like the DLC monetization system. Don't get me wrong. I hate what Paradox does with its dozens of DLCs where you ultimately have to pay $200 to $300 to get the full game experience.
Yeah.
But I do really hope PGI does more DLCs because that's when the game can potentially shine. I see a lot of potential with this update. It's just not quite there yet. Needs a bit more.
Fundamentally, yeah, with the paradox model, it's you lay out the base game, the carrot, and then there's another carrot, another carrot, and another carrot, and eventually, of course, you have that core dedicated fan base that have just eaten 20 carrots, And to somebody on the outside, it's just like, I'm not spending that amount of money on the game. But the most important thing, at least going forward with future DLCs, is we want a really strong marketing push for them, that they are very enticing carrots. And I'm not sure they're that enticing. They're good. It's all right, but I want a juicier carrot in the future.
I think it's the reason why I haven't picked up Crusader Kings 2 and 3, basically, was because of that. Was just like, there's too many carrots. I mean, literally, you get the whole game's like $300 or $400. I'm like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's not happening.
Yeah, with this monetization system, you either need to be there at the very start, so you can basically spread out the payments, or you need to be so late to the party that you can get 80% of the DLCs at 50% discount in the Steam sale.
Yeah, true.
And I expect we'll ultimately see a similar thing for MechWarrior 5, so I'm gonna be along for the ride. I am definitely gonna pick up all of the DLCs and regularly replay the game when they come out. I'm just hoping it doesn't get overwhelming, and I do hope PGI continues the trend of lowering prices when they launch something new. That'd be cool.
So they just make more content, basically more updates and stuff like that, instead of just dropping it now.
We have
Like
to,
a lot of companies do.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see, because we really have no clue what the future DLC things are. It's not
Yep.
like Hairbrain Schemes where they're doing a big package with 3 DLCs all in one. We don't even know what the DLCs will be. Just stick along with us for the ride for one payment.
True. Okay.
Yep. So PGI, please give us more info and please do more marketing.
Yeah, definitely. Good. I mean,
Right.
yeah. Okay. So what's next on the list there?
Speaking
Oh,
of
wow.
PGI and marketing, let's just start with this particular event because it's the best transition we could ever hope for. Thanks for the boost event in MechWarrior Online. So first off, there was at this point when this episode airs a boost event where all the hero special loyalty mechs earn you more money and stuff like that. There was also a special thing if you wishlist the MechWarrior 5 Steam game, you get a injection as long as you write your name in the forum post. That's cool. And they were planning to give away some extra GSP to everyone once they reach 10,000 wish lists. I haven't heard anything whether they reached that goal though.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know how you can check how many people have actually wishlisted something like that. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Also, boosted hero sale, you can get all hero mechs, mech base for 50% off, and GSP bundles 50% off. So yeah, back to the point. Cross promotion between MechWarrior Online and MechWarrior 5 was pretty solid.
Yeah.
I like this event.
Wasn't bad.
Yep, cheaper heroes, and those heroes earn you even more C-bills. So a lot of people, or at least I saw a fair number of people running around with unskilled heroes going, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with
Hey.
this thing. I just bought it because it looked cool.
Yay! Alright, that's the cross promotion from MechWarrior Online to MechWarrior 5. And from MechWarrior 5 to MechWarrior Online, we have new player packs. Finally, took BGI a long while to get these out.
Not bad.
Yeah, new player packs. You get one mech, one hero mech, a mech bay, and a whole bunch of extra stuff for a set amount of money.
Yeah. At least, particularly, I think in my comparison, you can make us look at the light pack here. You get the K9. They've offered the K9 a lot lately, but it's a good mech. You're getting 3,000 MC. Now, I think 3,000 MC you get for about $15.
Yeah.
And this thing is about like $15. So basically, if you look at it this way, you're buying a bunch of MC plus a K9 plus 7 million C-bills, 100 GSP, 30 days premium time, a whole bunch of extra bits and bobs. Like, that is a pretty sweet deal. And you don't have to pay too much if you want instead a Griffin or a Black Widow or a Sleipnir, who are all, some quite popular mechs.
Yeah. I mean, once I saw those, I'm like, wow, that's a sweet deal, man. Oh my god. Good mechs too, actually. Like, I like the Warhammer. The heavy pack.
Yeah, so you're getting this. It is quite a good idea for a new player. If you pick up the game, you have a month's worth of premium time, a good amount of C-bills and MC to play with, and a good hero mech, more or less, from every single one of these packs. And you get there's the ultimate pack with one of each at the very bottom. But for me, I just like the value of the light pack, just the K9, 3,000 MC plus everything else. It gives you all the little goodies. Whereas the others, they're nice, but you're paying a big premium to upgrade that K9 into a bigger mech. And
Yep.
Sparky is all right. Black Widow is all right. Schleppnir, yep, that's a good one. But I'm not paying double just, or not even. It's not double, but 50% more or so for just upgrading to the Schleppnir.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, great packs. They've been a long time coming. I'm glad they're finally here, and I hope PGI gives us a couple more for the clan side, definitely. And I'll just take more in general. These are really good.
One thing I haven't checked fully on yet, but I'm not a fan too much. Was it? We got the Seabill medallion and Seabill hologram. Now these I think are just visually. It has a logo of the Seabill. It isn't a Seabill boosting item, and using those items in particular can be misleading, particularly to new players. I would much prefer just a cool sounding item to put in your mech. Rather than something that sounds like it's giving you a Seabill boost, because that will confuse a lot
That
of
is true.
players.
Yeah.
True. Maybe they will actually do a clan one like next month or something. Who knows?
Yep, probably.
I hope so.
Yeah, I'd imagine Timberwolf hero, sort of Arctic Cheetah hero, something like that, etc., etc.
True.
All right,
Patch
and then
notes.
for the final part of this episode, we have the May patch notes, with the standout thing being a Canyon network rework and some minor balance changes.
I played the Canyon.
Right.
It was different. It kind of stopped the NASCAR, which is kind of cool. Yeah, it definitely stopped NASCAR. There's different things people do now. Like, once you change a direction, like say like water, once you change the direction of water, it goes different places. It wasn't too bad. Like, I liked it. It's we started going around the whole map and taking out the snipers, like with our light mechs and all that stuff, because a lot of people don't do that. Like as a group. NASCAR kind of stopped, and it made him more into a laser fight instead of running around in circles. At least I think that's what I saw.
Interesting.
Yeah.
My experience with the new Canyon network is that it basically plays like HPG now, where most of the nest carrying happens in the low ground, and with all the many ramp options, you occasionally get people pushing up and trying to take the top.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
my experience in
I haven't
NASCAR
noticed
is
that
very much
actually.
live.
I mean,
I
there's
would
been a couple
somewhat,
times, but yeah.
I would somewhat agree somewhat with I would agree somewhat with Ian's modeling, in the sense that before with Canyon, what you sort of had was this giant central hill and like a circle around it, a circle hill around it, and it was really hard to go from the center hill to the outside ring. So what normally happens is, if you've got SRMs, you kind of want to be short ranged, you want to get into the face of the enemy, you go towards that central obelisk, the central hill. And then when you're there's only the very top of the hill you can push over, or the very you can rotate around it, the left or right. And the way the ramps were, you always had to rotate around. So basically, it was a giant obelisk, and people were drawn to it, and then people had to rotate around it. What we've done is we smashed that obelisk down, and then we've added a whole bunch of ramps around this central area. The simple fact, though, is the outside ring is still relatively inaccessible. There's ramps there's these what is it, these bridges you can walk across, but walking across the bridges is really heavily exposed. You don't do that when both teams are actually clashing and have view lines over it. So there's once what happens is, in Canyon, you always had the choice: do you go to the outer ring and snipe, or do you enter the vortex and rotate around the hill? Now, with the new Canyon, you either go to the outer ring and snipe inwards, but there's a lot of cover, um, or do you go into the central vortex and do you choose the left ramp or the right ramp? um, it's not the same vortex where you have to rotate the same way. There's a lot more give and take. You can poke left, withdraw a bit, poke right, withdraw a bit. You can poke the edges. There's more angles to go around the central vortex, but it's still a central vortex map in my head. And so, in some ways, I like the improvements. It's not such a simple map for those who are in the center anymore, but it still has the same issue that there's a gravity well in the center of this map, and it's very hard for you to sort of choose to get to the outside ring.
Yeah, what Bada said basically. The map changes are overall positive, but you just can't take the NASCAR out of a MechWarrior Online player. People are gonna NASCAR no matter the map. And they very quickly on the first few days found how to NASCAR on this particular map.
Very quickly, I found out how to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to be fair, the first few days were amazing, where
Yeah.
people tried to NASCAR but had no idea where to NASCAR to.
Yeah.
So they just ran around really weird circles rather than the big circle. They ran like small circles on the outside or small circles on the inside. And it was absolutely hilarious to see how people had no idea what to do.
Yeah. As it goes, though, let's say you're in a Brawler Atlas, the idea is still the best place for you to find fights is probably in the center. There isn't a giant central piece of cover for you to hide behind. So what you do is you lurk in the low ground, as Ian has mentioned, and you just check the right ramp. Is there anybody close nearby? No. Okay, I'll check the ramp to the left. Is there anyone close nearby? I want to brawl them. And you just keep doing that until you find somebody at point blank range. You could try and go to the very top and then run over the top, and sometimes that's fine. But you can get shot to smeg if that happens. Just like you can get shot to smeg if you're at the very top in HPG. So a lot of people just like running around the hill, and that's what you have usually happen
Yeah.
on this map.
The map, one thing that has changed for me on this map is how I position. If you play alpha focus builds on this map, you can just go into the center vortex. There's plenty of cover there to hide behind and then jump out at someone. And alternatively, if you play something that requires sustained DPS like Rex, I find it's a lot harder on the new map because there is so much cover. You kind of need to position yourself behind the enemy team of sorts, so you can get an open line of sight. So the map kinda encourages Alpha Strike focus builds now, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
They've helped you if you want to do big alphas in the central vortex or just snipe from the sidelines, but there isn't much help for those who want to rush down opponents or harass and sustain the enemy to death. There isn't additional ramps to really help those players or that playstyle.
So yeah, Canyon Network overall verdict, good update.
I much prefer this map to the old canyon.
Yeah.
I just wish that the central gravity well wasn't that issue was still somewhat addressed. That there were more options with that to get out of it. Because you still, if you want to get to the outer ring, it's best if you use jump jets and quickly jump up to there. There's not many ramps or ways up still from the center.
Okay. Weapon pass 2?
Right. Weapon pass. I'll open up the Biter document, and Biter, it is time for your monologue.
Uh-oh.
Sort of talk about the what's wrong, Bob?
Oh, no, basically, you were cutting in and out, sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Am I good?
Yeah, you're good.
Good. All right. On the left-hand side, we have somewhat the buffs, so to speak. So snub, it used to be 10 pinpoint. Now it's 8 pinpoint with 1.5 splash. So you do actually do more damage with the weapon, but obviously it's less precise. A lot of discussion I've seen about this change. I'm quite a fan of it personally. It lowers the quality of damage, but it still increases the DPS. This means it doesn't punish smaller mechs quite as much, and that extra little bit of splash means you're spreading the odds that you'll hit a weakened components and all that kind of stuff. So overall, I'm a fan some of the snub change. In fact, I quite like the idea of all PPCs having splash personally. And I've been using snubs ever since they've done this change. Whereas before, it's just kind of, it's a little lacking in DPS, but if you up the pinpoint, it just becomes way too crazy. But yeah, that's why we have Splash. That's why you do Splash on like the clan PPC. Streaks have gotten a huge buff finally to their missile health, like 200%. This is a very welcome change. It was very out of touch what they did and talked about last time, where they said, "Oh no, my ATMs with their high missile health are getting shot down by AMS." But the streaks, they have issues with feast and famine, but nothing to do with AMS. And yeah, this is about right for what they need to do. It was very curious in a way, though, that they buffed the clan missile health to be higher than Inner Sphere. Inner Sphere, of course, have to pay a 50% tonnage, extra tonnage to have their streaks, and they have issues with boating weapons much more than clans do. It's way easier to equip 3 Streak 6 on a clan than it is on IS. I think the reason they've done this, at least running the numbers, is because the clan streaks are a little bit slower. So this missile health change means effectively they have the same health for the travel time. I don't really like that change, just in the sense that really clan should be seen as the baseline, and then IS should just get an extra buff on top because of their tonnage investment. We should respect their tonnage investment, but we haven't heard any rhetoric from that from the Cauldron whatsoever, and I don't think they really understand it. All right. Other buffs to talk about is that we
Quick
have
question
River. Yep.
quick question for the streak. Do you think it's enough?
Uh, it's very tricky. I think they just need enough that they aren't completely deleted. There's a tricky thing with
Mm.
streaks that you can't actually do that very large alpha strikes. You know, with clans, you can fire 3 ATM 9s together, and if you want, also a bunch of streak 4s on the bigger mechs. That gives you a lot of missile health that AMS has to chew through. For Inner Sphere, though, you can do homing alphas at its best as 3 streak 6 and then maybe a bunch of streak 2s. If you're just at the perfect range bracket, you could do Streak and LRM, but that's insanely heavy, and it's such a niche, ridiculously silly build. It doesn't really make sense as a playstyle. So IS really needs the health for streaks, whereas clans can sort of spam a lot of launchers, but even then, you always have to spam them in small groups. So the ghost heat limits for streaks and ATMs is kind of wonky. And this is sort of the overall problem that hasn't really been addressed. That you can only fire one MRM 40 without ghost heat, but you can fire 2 ATM 12s without ghost heat. And they're like, oh no, ATMs do giant alpha strikes. Yeah, because the ghost heat limits are quite forgiving on ATMs, but streaks, MRMs, SRMs, it's much more honed in. In the end, though, at least these numbers are tanky enough that you are getting through most AMS shields. Like you're only sort of having problem. Like you always were completely almost shut down by AMS Corsair, and that Corsair will still shut you down fairly well. But it is an AMS Corsair. It should shut down a lot of missile play, and streaks have an issue with not many missiles in the air for the tonnage invested, particularly IS.
Yeah, I'd say it's a good change. I don't quite think it's enough to really
Yeah.
make, especially Inner Sphere serums, bring them back into prevalence. But hey, it's a step in the right direction.
It's a step in the right direction. Before it used to be, of course, I was happy with them all having 1 missile health. And, PGI then said, all right, let's give them a 40% debuff. There's just so much metal scraped off these Streak 6s. Whereas now, they
Yeah.
are 30% tankier than where they used to be. Which is, it's nice enough. I think, in particularly in the case of IS, you could totally get away with much more missile health to improve their consistency. But IS is much shorter ranged anyway, so you can often just, if you're up against an AMS mech, you can get point blank because that's somewhat more fitting with their playstyle. Then again, we destroyed their playstyles randomly, so whatever. In the end, just take the fact that the Cauldron actually tried streaks for a little bit and realized the fundamental issues of the weapon and addressed it. So let's wait until they actually fix the
Yay.
projectiles. Until we don't need to keep changing streaks randomly. Just be happy that they actually got a buff.
Yeah, I'm still holding out hope that eventually the Cauldron will invite a player that understands Lockout weapons.
I did have
until
a
then,
discussion with Naveed for a while. I gave him the foundational academic theory on it, but it was like, oh, he completely misunderstood what I said. And in the end, we both had the same opinion, but he just wasn't very appreciative of the of the theory behind streaks. All right, survival redistribution. They've basically undid all the survival distribution for Jenna, Jenna 2C, Cicada, Jaeger Mech, and they've added the survival to these components. So nice change, 11 more to the CT and Jenna, 10 more to the side torsos. Just if these mechs have issues with their torsos being taken out, just buff the torsos. That's all you need to do. We don't need to have a weird workaround. So yeah, I'd say it's funny, like 8 extra armor on the CT and side torsos and the Jaeger mech doesn't sound like much, but then you apply skill tree and that's an extra 10 damage. Like the Jaegers are actually fairly tanky. I used to enjoy stripping their arms off them. and just laughing. But now the arms are kind of small and relatively tanky targets again, and the torsos are fairly tanky as well. Like Jaegermechs, I'm not going to say they're meta, but they're a lot scarier than they used to be. They used to just be like insects that I enjoyed peeling the bits off, taking the limbs off before finally destroying them.
I knew it. I knew that was. Go on.
Yep. All right, let's talk about the weapon nerfs or changes. Micro pulse laser was seen as a bit too strong in certain mechs, primarily, of course, things like the Piranha, I think, was fairly popular. So they've reintroduced the 12 heat scale limit, and they've slightly reduced the damage. This is fine enough. The issue in the game right now is indeed lights are just not seeing that much play. There's too much pinpoint damage out there. There's things like streaks, of course, that do nuke them until we finally address their missile projectiles and everything. So it makes sense that we do want to sort of tone down the micro pulse lasers. There are a lot of clan mechs that, if you give them the chance to boat things, they will boat things like crazy, and that's kind of what happened. I wasn't too afraid of them, but it is what it is. Heavy PPC, a slight increase in heat. I didn't really use them before or after the art changes, but I think they saw there was issues. I think what was it with boating like 3 of them, and that is a lot of pinpoint damage. Again, this is always the issue you're going to have with inner sphere PPCs. If you give them too much pinpoint, they become super crazy, and you're on a bit of a tightrope. If you just give them something like, I don't know, splash damage, then suddenly you can make them worth using without making them crazy good at coring people out. But yeah, it's a minor change for what it is. And like Gorse, it's slightly reduced their range profile just to bring it in line with Gorse rifles. And that's fine. It makes the life so much simpler. I just have to remember one profile. All right. Last things for the changes is agility changes. They were hoping to do this month on May. They were hoping to do a whole slew of mechs, but we only done the ones that we feel like had the most need for them. So Inner Sphere, Firestarter. Like just going. What do you guys have you played against the new Firestarters?
No. The Timberwolves I
I'll-
have, but that's about it, really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the
I
Kodiak.
don't play any of these mechs well enough to really notice the difference, to be quite honest.
Yeah. So Firestarter, one of the worst agilities in the game for the 35 tonner, and it has issues with its survival. It's a big target. Like, it was just, why choose a Firestarter when you have the Wolfhound? Wolfhound was just so serviceable. And so this is bring the Firestarter up to the Wolfhound standard. Right now, though, the Firestorm, it used to have a huge edge in agility, quote unquote. Basically, you remove all the survival quirks, and it's just as agile as a Wolfhound. Woo! Why not just take a Wolfhound, be just as agile, and have more survival? Anyway, now the Firestorm is better, but still a bad idea. Centurion, very weird sort of choices for the agility changes, but it is what it is. I think Centurion, a lot of people like talking about how it's very good at shielding with its arms. You get a great experience if you're in lower tiers with it. But the Centurion has fundamental issues with its quirks, its survival. Like if it's facing you, aim at the CT. If it's twisted away from you, just shoot the crest on its head. That's CT. So Centurion has so many big problems with it. Just because it was good in the past doesn't mean it'll be good now with agility. So I've seen some people try to use it and they realize that it's a big giant squishy mech that it's very easy to core out, relatively speaking, or at least I love just coring out Centurions if you know what to do. And that's the same kind of issue with Hunchback and Hunchback 2C. Like, more agile, that's great, but they have some fundamental issues with their size and shape, so to speak. Clan is at least clan boating, that's fine. But, it is what Ian mentioned is that Firestarter, Centurion, Hunchback, some of these just have fundamental issues with their quirks, and that isn't been touched up. So at least they're agile now, that they aren't sluggish so sluggish to play. But yeah, let's get on to the biggest one you see a lot more people using as the poster child, the Timberwolf. Huge buff, 60% buff to acceleration, deceleration, turn rate, torso speed, all that good jazz. Yep, the Timberwolf isn't a giant marshmallow that can't really move. It actually is agile for its engine size. And I think the Timber is still a huge target. I love just killing them, but it is good to see Timberwolves not relegated to the support role, because before people asked me, "Oh, I really like the Timberwolf. What should I run on it?" And I said, "Lerms. It's just you can't brawl in this thing. You don't really want to shoot and twist. Just learn with it. That's sadly where the Timberwolf was luck. But now with good agility, Timberwolf is good as a laser boat again, and other things like SRM Brawl if you really want to be a brawler nowadays. Nightgear, much improved agility as well. I've seen a lot of people still have used that one. Nice. Atlas, I've seen people use it in the first early days, and then they realized how low its mounts were. Atlas though can actually brawl a bit, or quite a bit better again, so that's nice. Kodiak as well. I've seen a fair number of people try and use like the Spirit Bear and stuff. Yeah,
I've
it's
some
just
wicked
nice.
builds with that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff with it.
Yeah, Kodiak, particularly if you're not the hero or the 3, a lot of them have very awkward kind of meh hard points, it often feels like. There's a couple of energy boat Kodiaks that just really suffer without good agility. And the agility still, it's okay. It's a huge step up from where they were though, because Kodiaks had a huge issue with just being giant walking turrets. And it was like, oh, please just, I'm gonna sit behind this hill and use either my high mounts or just carefully, slowly poke out and don't return fire. I can't spread damage. I'm just so clumsy. Now though, yeah, Kodiaks, you can actually twist to them. You can get your guns onto target. Like they feel usable, and that was the huge issue with all of these mechs. They did not feel usable with their agility. I think a lot of them need quirks to really help balance them out, but this is a good start.
Those and patch field, patch files.
Yeah, that's it
Yeah.
for the patch notes.
Yeah, patch notes. Don't we have like one more thing actually? For Bombadil?
All right, so yeah, one of the more new pieces of news, just to quickly touch on, is what was it? Bombadil's birthday bash. I think this is
Yeah.
just another kill the streamer event, and you get a whole bunch of GSP.
Yep. I think that's going on all weekend too. So by the time that thing comes out, actually, hold on, I'm gonna have to put this out on Sunday instead of Monday. I'm gonna be on the road on Monday.
All right.
Okay, well, it's coming out on Sunday. Yeah, he has the same
That's
birthday
good to
as
know.
me.
If you happen to just be at the very end of this podcast and
Yeah.
haven't just checked out the website.
Yeah.
Um. Anyway, just to wrap up on the patch notes, I think as ever with sort of the new reborn MWO, a lot of good steps in the right direction, and it's generally on the right path. Though, of course, no patches are perfect. Obviously, the PGI were quite busy with the MechWarrior 5 patch, and so yeah, it is what it is. I think new canon certainly a step up. It could be improved a little bit more, of course. We'll see how it shakes out. Of course, the meta in the long run. Weapons pass, I think that's good enough. Those are on point changes. It's worth them looking back at the weapons, particularly actually using streaks a little bit and realizing that they have issues with missile health. Agility changes, we're going to be seeing more of those, and we're also going to see next month, I think, Polar Highlands. We've already seen in some areas on the internet leaked footage. Was it some screenshots of
Yeah,
the
screenshots.
new Polar? And that rework is looking very extensive and very interesting.
Oh yeah, Neopod are gonna be very interesting. So
It should
look
just
forward to that one.
You should just do like a white field, flat level field, the whole map. It's just a flat snow, the flat, no hills, no ditches, just flat, and just everyone just go at
They,
it.
they are doing
Always
the
thinking
opposite.
back to his times when he was young and video games were just flat open fields.
Yes, definitely. Okay. Yeah, it looks interesting. Like I've seen some of the screenshots. It looks pretty cool. I just hope they just do a good job and not make it NASCAR like it is right now, though.
My guess is that it's much more built up. So what we're going to do is have a big old fight, usually in that central set of buildings,
Yeah,
because there's going to be a lot of mechs that are just sort of more short ranged who are just wanting to use those buildings. How exactly the topography will shape the battles is another question entirely, and we'll just have to wait and see when we get more on this on the upcoming changes.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Um. yeah, so I think that's it for the First Circuit Podcast, episode 147. Tonight's hosts were Ian,
Bye-bye. I
Fighter,
hope you enjoyed looking at my face.
Fighter,
Hey, I do not have a face. Do not worry.
and myself, Old Bob. I don't have a face either, so everything's packed up. But yeah, so episode 147. Thank you for watching the First Circuit Podcast, for hearing it on audio and as well on Anchor, Spotify, and all that kind of stuff. So you guys have a good night, and thank you, and we'll see you on the battlefield.